So Della, Maddalena's manager, has come out and said that 4 opponents have declined fighting against him, and to be honest, I kind of believe it. You know what I mean? Della Maddalena's been looking amazing in the UFC right now, and he kind of is like a guy that I wouldn't say he's flying under the radar, but he's not making headlines. He's not like a super popular guy, and a lot of times when people are super popular, they want to fight them, even if they are like really elite. And I feel like Della Maddalena is kind of showing a really good skill set and a really good ability inside the octagon right now, and people just aren't really wanting to fight him because maybe he's not the biggest name in the world right now, but he's definitely building a pretty good fan base over here in Oceania, and here's why I need Della Maddalena to fight soon. So there's a rumour going around that the UFC's coming back to Australia, potentially Perth, but Australia in February next year. And if I go, and if they go to Australia, I'm going to go to that card, and Della Maddalena is probably going to be a guy that they're going to put on the main card of that fight card. So I need Della Maddalena to fight soon so he can have a few months to rest and recover and get ready for a potential fight in February of next year. I mean, he's coming off a pretty good win over Angelusa. Angelusa did take that fight on short notice. Angelusa's now in the UFC and does have a win, so that's actually a pretty well-aging win. And he's also beaten Pete Rodriguez, who stepped in on very short notice for Wally Alves. He did win that in the first round, but Pete Rodriguez, to be honest, isn't the best win in the world. He's 4-0, and he was 4-0 against guys that weren't incredible, but he had KO power, and he showed up, so good for him. And Ramazan Emeev, that was when he was finally getting his first test. Ramazan Emeev had him a pretty tight submission attempt, and he got up and pretty much knocked him out. So in this video, it's not scripted at all. I don't really have any pre-prepared opponents. Open and honest, it should be a pretty quick one though. But I've got here Della Maddalena on RankingMMA.com. He's ranked number 29 on Ranking MMA. How accurate this is questionable because we don't know. Maybe he is ranked 29th. Then I think that is probably a pretty realistic place to put him when you look around. Like, you wouldn't put him up in the top 20. You wouldn't put them up there with Jake Matthews or Gunnar Nelson at the moment. I mean, I think it's a pretty accurate position of maybe where he is in the rankings. So let's have a look. Let's have a look around. And I know for a fact there's one guy on here that I don't believe would decline a fight, and that is Andre Fialho. Maybe they haven't offered him Andre Fialho, but I feel like Andre Fialho is a guy that will fight anyone at any time, right? Unless he's got a fight booked, but I don't think he does, to my knowledge. But maybe it's because he's taken a KO loss, he wants to take a little bit of time off, so maybe Andre Fialho doesn't want to fight him. That makes sense. Maybe you look at Della Maddalena versus Jeremiah Wells. That's a pretty good fight. I think that's a fight that will make a little bit of sense. Trinaldo just fought very recently, so you can't give him Trinaldo. Jeremiah Wells versus Della Maddalena, good matchup. I don't mind it at all. You wouldn't give him Miguel Baeza. He's on a bit of a losing streak right now. You go down, Brian Battle 3-0 in the UFC, Della Maddalena 2-0 in the UFC. Probably makes sense. I think that's a pretty good matchup that you can make. You go down the rankings a little bit more. I'm actually very surprised Carlston Harris is this far down in the rankings. I think that's a little bit disrespectful. I don't see Carlston Harris to be the kind of guy that's going to decline fighting someone like Della Maddalena. In fact, that would actually be a really good matchup and a really good test of the skills, because Carlston Harris was kind of like a guy that was meant to test Shavkat Rakhmonov, you know what I mean? Like, that's the level of skills that Carlston Harrison has. So that's probably a guy that you could maybe throw in there with Della Maddalena. I think that'll be a pretty fun fight. They're not going to give him Ngari. They're probably going to keep padding Ngari's record against guys that are just at the bottom of the UFC right now. And I think if you look down, you're not going to find anyone that makes sense for Della Maddalena to fight right now, in my opinion, So we move back up. So if you want to move Della Maddalena up the rankings because he's on a win streak, Alex Morono is potentially a guy that makes sense. I think that's a good one. Brian Barberena has a fight booked. Chaos Williams. What's Chaos Williams up to these days? Probably not a lot. He took no damage against Randy Brown. Randy Brown's already fought since then, so Chaos Williams is probably due to get back into a fight camp. I don't want to see him fight Tony Ferguson. You want to bounce him way up the rankings. Muslim Salikov is borderline ranked. That fight against Li Jingliang was actually his fight that was going to get him into the rankings. Could be pretty good. He's already fought Li Jingliang in the... No, he hasn't. It's Jake Matthews that's fought Li Jingliang in the past. Maybe you could have him fight Li Jingliang. I think there might be a fight that would make a little bit of sense, potentially. I know it's a big step up in rankings for Della Maddalena, but if no one wants to fight him, and Li Jingliang is a guy that will fight anyone, maybe you could do that. But I think Li Jingliang at this point of his career is kind of looking for more favourable matchups, not more favourable matchups, but more Matchups that are going to get him into the rankings. Maybe Li Jingliang's trying to fight someone like Kevin Holland. I think that would make a little bit of sense. So let's talk about like Jack Della Maddalena. I think Jack Della Maddalena, give him Andre Fialho, Jeremiah Wells. Who else have I got in there? Brian Battle. I think that's a fight that will make sense. Carlston Harris as well. It's another option there. And if you want to look up the rankings, maybe Muslim Kasalikov coming off a loss. Don't give him please don't give him Tony Ferguson. And then maybe you can give him Li Jingliang. I think that's probably at a push, but maybe you can Li Jingliang. So let me know what you guys think of this little video. It should be a quick one. It's 5 minutes. That's about what I expected it to be. Yeah, he's on a massive win streak right now. Started his UFC career, MMA career, 0-2, and has gone on to go on a pretty nice little tidy win streak here. 12 fight win streak, 2 fight first round KO streak in the UFC. No one wants to fight him, which is weird, but interesting. I feel like maybe Jack Della probably does deserve a jump up in the rankings against Chaos Williams, Alex Morono. Nico Price, I think he's got a fight book, doesn't he? Or if he doesn't, that's a fight that makes sense. Makes sense all sense in the world. UFC 281, UFC 282 featured prelim right there. Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one, guys. I'm going to be picking Jack Della Maddalena. Wait, what am I doing? Picking Jack Della Maddalena in the video I'm making about him. Anyway, that's the video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I don't know if this is a video that you guys would like, but I think it's a pretty good idea to make. There's no UFCs, no PFL, no Bellator. Not ready to make a video about Cage Warriors yet. I'll probably do that tomorrow. So that's it. Jack Della Maddalena. No one wants to fight him. I just gave you some potential opponents there, UFC. Most of them pretty favourable matchups for Jack as well. So yeah, I'll leave it there.